welcome back to the show. I'm Aaron. I'm one of the outside sales reps for Whisper Internet, and I'm on with...
My name is Jesse, Field Services out of Washington, Missouri, and good to see you again, Aaron. It's been a while since we were able to fit one of these in, but
Yes.
I can't think of a better time because it looks like, Aaron, the last Tuesday was Safer Internet Day.
I saw that, and that's a pretty cool holiday.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was a holiday. We should have all been off on Safer Internet Day, right?
That's right. We need to make this, right now our audience is going to help us make this a national holiday. So
Yeah.
it can be off because, hey, we all use internet now, and we
That's
all
right.
rely on it. So, hey, be like our next Earth Day.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it looks like the theme of this year's Safe Internet Day is Together for a Better Internet. And it couldn't come at a better time because a lot of people are using their internet connections. A lot of people are at home more than ever, working from home, schooling from home. So, TV, watching TV, just anything you think of, the internet's being used more than ever, gaming. And so we have a few topics to go over today to help people keep their internet safe from the hacking and the viruses and the phishing and just everything that can go wrong these days, the identity fraud, things like that. So, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just even going to throw in there. I mean, just even our own safety, we've got kids involved. I mean, our day-to-day lives depend on the internet now. And that brings us right into our first topic is, even like parental controls. Parental controls is a big thing. We've talked about it before on our show. And anymore, there's so many seminars out there, just even for parents, on how to teach your kids to be safe on the internet. And even with those kind of parental controls, even you need that little extra to say, hey, you're on the internet way too much, or you're on the internet way too late. And so that's kind of neat to be able to set some of those boundaries and even enforce those boundaries, even with different devices as simple as our own internal router inside of our homes. So there's all kinds of cool apps you can use, but a lot of times as far as devices goes, a lot of times the routers themselves you can go in and set limits to say, hey, this device right here goes off at 10:30 at night or 9:30, whatever you want to do. Even like cell phone companies have really gotten involved in even parental controls a lot. Pretty much all your major carriers now have additional software that you can even add on and be able to set those limits on cell phone because, we all have smart kids that yeah, you go ahead and turn off that Wi-Fi. I still got my phone.
Smart kids, right? Yeah, you got it.
Throw out there in the comments if you've heard that one before. So, I'm sure we all have. So now even cell phone carriers are even getting involved. And if you even have an iPhone, if you have an Android, you can actually set those settings in the limits of the actual phone. And guess what? You can even set a pin because they're going to figure this out. So
exactly,
there's all kinds of cool stuff on parental controls.
Yeah. So parental controls and the next subject, setting the family rules, but also with the parental controls, it's that word has been around for a long time, and before it was mainly antivirus programs that you can throw on a computer like your Nortons and your McAfee's or whatever it was, and they have their own parental control type of section in there. There's also like programs back in the day called Nanny, these additional programs you can throw on a computer to help parents control what their kids are looking at the internet. And now these days, you've got routers that will do that. You've got the cell thing, that's your cell phone that do that. and this a few times, and not shamelessly. And trust me, I don't get commission off of it. It's just a really cool product that we have and we offer. But the Whisper, the Calyx router that we provide in our Whisper care plan, along with the Whisper Home app that you can put on the phone, it does all the parental control right there from the router, from your phone. Real easy to get to, not a separate program. You use anything that you can get your hands on for sure, but we also here at Whisper have an option for customers to grab too.
Oh yeah. This is all very, like, we've had lots of concerns with this, even on personally and also professionally as well. So, I mean, this is a big topic as well.
Right.
So, and kind of moving out of parental controls, but still kind of hanging in there a little bit, is, I mean, just setting family rules. I've known people that, like, obviously, dinner table, no phones, I mean, I've even seen some memes out there where they put the phones into a locked container with a timer on it. That's pretty cool, actually. And if they're busting the container with a hammer, it's probably time to start talking about boundaries.
Right.
So, even setting some of those family rules, and there's apps even there that can help with that. That can set timers for that certain time, to even lock it down. So, like, hey guys, this is family time or movie time or whatever the case may be. But I'm even starting to see, like, even I've seen kids that have, like, they're to the point, like, they're telling their parents, like, hey, can you put your phone down? We're watching a movie. And because they want that time as well. So, I mean, it kind of goes back and forth as far as family time. And this is a good opportunity to just, like, dive down into that and set those limits.
Yeah, I was going to say, the topic is set family rules. And in my mind was, hey, this has nothing to do with devices or something you can do inside of a router or whatever. But it is a good point. You can set up family rules through that stuff too, where you can limit it time. But what I really like is how when you look at set family rules, you're automatically thinking, hey, I'm setting rules for my children. But it does hit home a little bit because a lot of parents will be on the phones or using devices and all that stuff too. And the kids are there, craving attention. I don't want to get too far off topic here, but we could do another show on that. But yeah, absolutely. Setting family rules will help keep the internet and your family safer. So for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else you wanted to talk about on the family rules one?
No, I think that's good because I mean, you and I could probably dive off into a whole other. And sometimes, I mean, I know me for an example. I mean, that's a self dive even into myself. I mean, I've looked at, like, hey, man, I need some time away from my phone. And guess what? I'll go hit some trails, whatever the case may be. And you know what? Just having that phone off for, like, an entire day it's a nice reset, and usually I'm out taking pictures of cool waterfalls or something like that. And that, to me, I think, of course, that's, now we're really out of the family limits, but then, it still kind of goes back and forth too. And I think probably one of our common words, I bet we're going to probably say a lot, is boundaries, and even setting your own boundaries of, like, okay, I'm not going to touch my phone. Work's done, put it over here for a little bit. So, it's easy to do. So,
you got it.
Man, our next topic.
Yeah.
Limit personal information.
Limit personal information online. So, I mean, it is hard to do with how many social media type apps we have on the phone, and your food, your DoorDash. You do everything online. You order everything online. You have to put in username and passwords. How do you limit personal information? And I don't know if I should do this or not. I'm not perfect with it, but just on my phone, I've got a note document that's got most of all my username and passwords and stuff saved. I try to encrypt it as much as I can, but probably a smart person can probably go through all that and be like, I can fill in all the blanks and figure all that out. I've strayed away from the paper and pencil stuff, and everything's pretty much saved online. So, how in the world do you limit personal information online, Aaron? You tell me.
That is, I was even doing a little bit of research on this before the show, and there was a lot of things that actually talked about just deleting yourself from applications and from websites. And it's amazing how many things will actually sit there and gather information. Obviously, we know social media does, of course, we can set our own personal boundaries as far as, what we put out there about ourselves, travel locations, this and that. But I mean, there's so much out there that, you put in an order at a local grocery store, and you're putting in all that information and you're hoping that they're going to secure it. And of course, most of the time, they pay a lot of money to secure that data. But, still yet, it can happen. We know we can probably Google a lot of places that have lost information. And it's an ongoing thing. And I mean, just, simple little things like me personally on my credit card that I use for internet traffic, I only keep what I put in there. So like if somebody does get that number, they're gonna be really disappointed. And so because I mean I control what I put in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm making this Amazon order for $20. Okay, I'll put $20 in there. That's taken care of. Otherwise, I keep it out. So I also have a separate, me personally, I have a separate card that I use for all those accesses. So
you have a separate account that you use just for online, and you limit what funds you have in that specific account.
Yep, that's correct.
Fantastic.
I've done that for probably eons. I mean, really, I was hacked. Somebody in Mexico had a good time, and I'm glad they did, but it kind of was a lesson learned,
Right. I've been in conversations with customers a lot. I've been, before I got into field services, I was in support, and I had a lot of these questions. Or, some people were just real skeptical about, oh, I don't do anything online or whatever. And I would in turn say, well, I do almost everything online. So, but it's really, and I think you brought up a good point earlier, is like, do you trust Discover, or do you trust Amazon? Do you trust that company? And most of the time I do. Like, hey, I trust that company to hold my whatever, and if they screw up, that's on them. But yeah, it's a big trust thing.
Yeah, it is. And usually, if not, I mean, one of the things too is if I'm on a private website, something like that, the last thing I'm going to do is give them my card number, even knowing I don't have that. But, PayPal has usually been pretty good about like, hey, that's a fraudulent deal. We're going to watch it out for you. And they do really good. So if the company doesn't offer PayPal, then usually I'm a little skeptical too. Obviously, Amazon's not going to, but Amazon's a bigger company, and they pay a lot of money just to protect our information. And but still, we still have the responsibility on ourselves to protect our information from going further. Even obviously, credit cards is an easy one when we bring this up, but like travel locations, stuff like that. Obviously, a little bit of military background. That was always a big thing with military. Don't tell them where you're going. Don't get on Facebook and be like, "Hey, I'm gone for a week." Well, guess what? You just opened up everybody and be like, I know where he lives.
This person's gone for a week, right, man?
And it's very easy to find where a person lives.
Yep.
So it's a couple of internet searches and you're there. There are a couple little sites out there that, and you can easily search them, sites that can remove all your information. Of course, LifeLock we know is a big company that's out there. There's a Delete Me that's out there, and their whole goal is to remove all your information about you off the internet. And even like private sites, that's an easy one. You can keep remove all your information from them if possible.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's out there, just to kind of protect yourself, as far as where you're living, your phone number, because we know we all can get those pesky emails. Obviously my phone number is very easy to find, because of what I do. It's just sales. Hey, that people want my phone number, so and that's how I get them.
Yeah.
Solve the problem.
Right, and my phone number is easy to find because I give it to everybody. So whatever, I totally hear you on that one. I want to bring you back to a great point. PayPal, those like PayPal. I've used that PayPal forever. Absolutely love PayPal. Another company like that's Venmo, that take care of all these online transactions when it comes to paying for merchandise you want to buy, and you can even send money to through those things to your friends or family or whatnot. There's a lot of things you can do with a PayPal or a Venmo type app that's really secure and safe and extremely quick. So
yes.
Yeah, so that's a good point to have on our limit personal information online contact topic. One thing I want to bring up, I had a customer, this is real life stuff, had a customer come into the office yesterday and find me. And he was concerned. He walked into the office and he said, "Hey, I need you to help me with my email." And I said, "Sure. Does your email not work?" He's like, "No, it works. I just don't want you to shut it off because I've gotten a few emails for me to update my information or my email's going." I was like, "Whoa, okay. First of all, we would never send you an email saying that your email is going to go away or to update any information." So I wanted to confirm with him one more time. You didn't click on those, correct? He's like, "No, I just haven't had time." I was like, "Good. Throw them away, delete them. We don't contact you that way." Second, is your email still working? He's like, "Yes." I'm like, "Perfect. When it's not working anymore, let us know." But we would never send you something, man. So that's just one of the millions of type of phishing scams going on right now. That's asking for your personal information. Another thing I want to bring up, Aaron, just because I thought it was awesome and not awesome at the same time. I believe you and I were part of a meeting yesterday where they said that a major company was scammed by a phishing, and they transferred like $68 million. And I'm like, I had questions about like, how does that even happen? And there was a couple of comments about the person actually that was behind that and actually receiving a $68 million transaction from one of these phishing things, about how he just felt like, oh crap, I didn't want that much. Now they're going to track me down, so anyways, tons of stuff like that going on.
Oh yeah. And I tell you what, I got a good story that real quick, where I fell for one, because obviously I was gone out of town on something, and Nathan, our owner, got a email, and it's so funny because the mobile app, all I saw was Nathan, but I never saw the rest of the email address. And the email was like, "Hey, what's your phone number? I got a deal for you." And I'm like, "Oh, sweet. Okay." And I'm like, but then I started even thinking, I'm like, Nathan has my phone number. Okay. Right. So I'm like, well, this is weird. And then, so I responded, but I was like, I'll just call Nathan. So anyway, I called Nathan. We're talking about a couple other things, and finally, and I kind of expected him to be like, "Oh yeah, I got this deal." And then he's asking me questions right away. I'm like, "Yeah, I fell for this a bit." And I told him, he's
something's not sounding right here. I'm thinking maybe you didn't send that to me, right? Yeah.
Right. And like, Nathan was like, "What's the rest of the email address?" And he laughed. He's like, "Haha, you got spammed."
Oh, yeah.
So I was like,
and I feel for everybody out there, and you and I have been in the game for a while, and we have somewhat of a knowledge to be able to stay away from some of these things, but they're getting really smart and they're getting really clever, and you're thinking on the other end like, oh, why do these people do this? They're so evil, or why do they even spend the time? It's because it works, and they're making money doing it, because they will find people that will it only, you can send a million of these things out, emails or whatever, and you only need just a few people responding, giving information, and it's worthwhile for them. So anyways, be careful out there with the emails and the phishing and the personal information, and all that good stuff, because it's there and it's not going away.
Right, right.
Very good. Well, if we can move on to the next one, we got a little bit on secure websites, and we can briefly go through this, Aaron. And in a secure website, and if you're not sure about it, briefly, if you have a web browser open, I'm looking at one of mine right now. You've got your address bar at the top. You've got your www. whatever website you're on. To the left of that, most of these web browsers that you use, whether it's Internet Explorer, their new one called Edge, or if it's Google Chrome or Firefox, Safari, whatever you use out there, it should have a lock next to that. And if it's not there, if there's a warning sign, that means you're probably on a website that's got some holes in it. And if you're doing anything significant with it, you could be in danger. So the advice is to just, unless you know what you're doing, get away from it. Don't be there. Look for that lock. You can even click on that lock, and it'll tell you things like, it'll say stuff about the certificate and if it's valid or not. If it's not a valid certificate, it's not going to be a secure website, and you could be going somewhere where you don't want to go.
Because a lot of that too, like even to look for HTTPS, because it was a few years ago, Google actually started saying, hey, we are not going to put your stuff on our search engine unless it has HTTPS, which forced a lot of web designers to basically make their stuff secure. And so that was kind of a good thing. So usually if it's not HTTPS, then kind of, and they're asking for your credit card information, you might shy away from that. So just, especially if they're asking for personal information, it should have that S in that right away. So, and that just simply stands for secure.
Secure websites. Look for the lock. Look for the S after the HTTP, and then usually you are good to go with that one.
Yes.
Let's see here. Let's move on, because I like this one a lot. Keep your antivirus updated. So, okay. So So you and I talked earlier, and I'm with this as well. Way back in the day, I might have had an antivirus program like Norton Antivirus is a big one, McAfee. There's all sorts of them out there, and I had to talk a lot about them back in my support days. But for me personally, I wouldn't use them because they were clunky and they used a lot of resources. Like, well, why would you care about that? Well, because I like to play video games, and I like them to like them to run smoothly and all that kind of stuff. And so I wouldn't use it. But definitely these antivirus programs are really good. A lot of your computers, like Windows, will come with its own, like I think it's called Windows Defender. So I didn't know if you want to talk a little bit about your experience with antivirus programs.
And really, I don't have too much. And kind of part of my thinking is I try not to go to, any bad sites, anything else like that, because I mean, as soon as you do, you're opening yourself up for any kind of antivirus that you could inadvertently download. I mean, every so often I probably do like a good clean on my, on my computer. I mean, not the brand name drop or anything else like that, but I use one called House Call that I've had great success with it. Well, way back when, I would have people like, dude, I've got all this on my computer. I know what to do with it. And it was just usually pop up after pop up after pop up. And it was like, okay, we're in safe mode. I run House Call on it. And usually it took, like, if they had something that bad, it would usually turn around and take like several times going through House Call and just trying to get all those out. And so there's a lot there. So
and what I'm saying is, I don't want to be like, hey, don't use antivirus for it's super important. Businesses, you need something, absolutely. I had my and I think I don't know if house call is a straight up antivirus, but a lot of the is the spyware, the malware, the
Yes.
spyware. So I would recommend a lot of good like there's one called Malwarebytes that you can download.
Yep.
It's got a free version of it. It's excellent, and I haven't said the name or even used it for years, but just recently, my computer for him. And so he's went from the consoles to the computer. So he's got his first taste in what that's all about. And he called me in one day. He's like, "Hey, Dad, my Google doesn't look right anymore." And I looked at him like, "Yep, that sure doesn't look right. Something,
Oh yeah.
you've gotten into something. He probably went to an unsecure site. He's trying to download mods for games, whatever it was, and something attached itself to his Google Chrome." And it might not be dangerous, but it looks different, and it's probably grabbing information. And so I downloaded Malwarebytes on there. I was happy to see it's still going strong. Did a scan for it. It found a whole bunch of things right up, and it was a good learning experience from him. Like, hey, you got to be careful on computers, or you're going to get yourself into some trouble on that stuff. So antivirus programs, good to have. And again, I'm going to plug it. The new router that we provide and the Whisper Home app has all those that antivirus stuff and malware stuff attached to it. It's got parental controls, the filters. It will pop up if it feels like you have viruses. I've seen it. I've got it on my home. It's pretty awesome. And it does it right at the router. You don't have to put something on every single computer, but it's pretty nice.
And even for that cost, I mean, even like the $15 a month that we charge for the Whisper Home Care app, I mean, that's cheaper than most antiviruses you're going to pay for anyway. And there's so many things too that it's not just the computer that can actually be like have something, happen to it. I mean, we're talking about Ring door. I mean, no plugs to anybody, obviously, but I mean, we're talking about the doorbell, Ring doorbells. We're talking about the Nest thermostats, Alexas. I've got several of them in my house, and all those devices are very susceptible to antivirus or even being hacked or anything else like that. And usually, if you have something like right at the beginning of your internet connection that just stops it all right there, and it kind of stops it, lets you know about it through the notification. So I mean that's well worth it. I've actually enjoyed that part of it because I've seen mine go off a couple of times. I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. So
yeah, it's cool, and it's the topic here is antivirus and keep your antivirus updated. You definitely want to keep your antivirus programs updated, but with the Whisper Home app and stuff, it updates itself too. So a lot of times you don't have to worry about, oh, is it updated? I wonder what's going on. It should update itself. So that's a really nice feature that it has.
Updates in general, even on and I know there's. I know people that they absolutely do not like to update their stuff. I get it. It changes things. I get it. But, every bit of that does have something in there as far as like, hey, this is the newest and greatest malware scam that's going out. And usually that update, knows to look for that, knows to be like, I'm not installing that little app there. No way. And so even just keeping all your stuff updated is actually a great thing to do in general.
Yeah, it's a cat and mouse chase basically. The new the viruses will come out, and then the other companies that are fighting it has to do the updates to fight those. So if you're not updating, then the new stuff could get on your equipment and cause you some headache when it comes to getting your information or making programs not work or shutting your computer down or whatever it is. So updating your programs is important.
It's all out there, and I think one of our last things kind of start to go over is guest networks and VPNs.
Right, your virtual private networks, right?
Yes. I'm glad you. Said
no,
that.
your VPNs super important these days because there's a lot of people working from home and they have to have a VPN in order to work. So VPNs a lot of times will keep you safe, but sometimes they might not when it comes to like a hotspot at a restaurant or something like that. So go ahead with what you were going to say there.
Well, and a lot of that too, even like when, you mentioned like going out to a coffee shop or something, and you get on their network, and it always asks you, do you want to? I can't remember everything it says, but it usually asks you a yes or no. If you're in a public place, hit.
Oh yeah, when you join a network, it'll ask if you want to make your information public
Yes.
for things on the network. Which, if you're at home, sure, why not? If that's what you want to do. If you're at work, yeah, maybe you have to, whatever. But do you want to do that at McDonald's?
No.
Probably not. Yeah, or a coffee shop or whatever it is. Yeah.
And most of those are, a lot of times people are in there. If it's a busy place, it takes no effort to go in and log in, and you can be in somebody else's computer, just next to you in no time, especially if they've clicked yes, not knowing, because they know to click it at home, or they know to click it at their office so they can use their printer. But you're not going to be using McDonald's printer. And so, unless you make your own receipt, then that's a whole nother story.
Right.
You probably need to have a whole nother.
Like you go up to the counter, like, hey, I think I printed something that I'm going to need back there. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
awesome. But then, it's, that little thing, and that back to kind of like, just remember to set those limits and hit no on that. And so you don't have to worry about somebody else. And I'm the same way, obviously if you travel a lot, it's the same way, even if I'm at a hotel or something, click no. And really for me, even if I'm at a hotel, usually anymore, I don't use the hotel hotspots anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I guess
depending on what you're doing, I can totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially, even if I'm doing stuff for, our customers, I don't want to put all their information on somebody else's public network. And so that's even part of my responsibility too, is just to go through and like, I'll use my own hotspot. And then of course I use our VPN that we have through work in order to get everywhere I need to go.
Sure.
And, that's just those two different layers of security there.
Yeah.
And I know I'm the only one on that network. So I don't have to worry about somebody else smarter than me and getting into my computer.
Yeah. I'll definitely use the hotel ones, but I also know it's because my computer's got the programs and the fighting ones. But you're right. That is a good point. Just depends on what you're doing. If you're working with a customer and you're putting their information in, setting up a site survey or doing some billing stuff for them or whatever, you gotta just kind of know where you're at and what connection you're connected to, and maybe this can wait, or maybe I can get on the hotspot on my phone and do it that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is that great point.
Yeah. And nice thing is, with my provider, I have a little bit of hotspot. It's kind of weird if I get a phone call while I'm using it, it shuts it off. But then, of course, I've got another one that I use as well. So, I'm kind of to that point where I really don't always need that hotel. Actually, I stayed at a hotel not too long ago where I had no phone service. That was kind of cool. But then they actually, I did have to use theirs, and I still had to use the VPN through our network. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did they have pay phones? What did you ask if it was beeper friendly while you were there?
Believe it or not,
are you pager friendly here?
It was actually, they had the booth, but the phones weren't there. And and actually it was there in Grafton. And so that was it was a very neat lodge, and I can't remember the name of it. Go look it up. Very cool lodge. It was actually pretty neat.
Yeah, well, no, that's good. Well, before we go way over time, because I know we can do some topics on safety and all this kind of stuff, but I want to reach out to everybody who's on and watching. Any tips that you have when it comes to any of these topics that we have when it comes to antivirus programs or apps that you use on the phone, or malware type things, or just any kind of filtering systems, or maybe a rule that you use at your home for your kids. We can go on and on. Please post any questions that you have. Please ask the question. We love to answer questions. If you have any questions about, hey, they talk about this new router that they have in this Whisper Home, I would love to see what it's all about. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you about it and get you set up if you're interested, for sure. So
absolutely.
And yeah, we are. So you can always find these shows on Facebook from the past. We put these. We're on YouTube now, so do the subscribe, do the like. We absolutely love that. You can even ask
Yes.
questions on those platforms as well.
And oh yeah, and I'm curious to see in the comments,
Mhm.
what is working for you at home, and that could work for somebody else. We're just kind of curious because we probably mentioned a few things, but if really to find out really what happens, is just to do it and just to see. And I'm curious to see what others are doing. So
Yeah, I'd also like to plug the Safer Internet Day. It's a Safer Internet Day. You can go to get a lot of information if you're just wondering, like, just for peace of mind's sake, like, yeah, I'm going to check it out and maybe I can get some tips that maybe that we didn't get over. And I'm sure we'll put that link in the comments that you can find as well. If you can't think of anything else, Aaron, I'm going to wrap this up.
no, the only thing I can think of is, I gotta say again, happy birthday.
Thank you. Yep,
uh,
I got my party cup, and we'll continue through the weekend.
yeah, I've been waiting to get on the show just to say happy birthday. So.
Now, I appreciate it. I love it here at Whisper, and everybody has been so nice. Love doing these shows, and please comment, everybody. Please come back. Let us know what we can do better, and we'll look forward to the next one. So I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you so much.
All right. Hey, see you guys.